A new report released today finds youth incarceration rates in the nation are at a 35-year low. But as Peggy Pico explains, California has more youth behind bars than any other state.
Despite an overall decline in juvenile convictions, the U.S. still leads the industrialized world in youth incarceration. And according to today's Kid Count report from the Ann Casey Foundation, California leads the nation with more than 11,000 kids behind bars, or about 270 per 100,000 youth. Texas rates are less than half at about 5,000, and New York ranks third for juvenile incarcerations at just over 2,600. Chief of San Diego Probation Department, Mac Jenkins, and Michelle Lindley, Deputy District Attorney and Chief of the county's Juvenile Division, join me today with more on the situation here in San Diego. Thank you both for being here. Chief Jenkins, how many juvenile detention centers do we have here in San Diego, and how do our numbers of incarcerated youth compare to the state's?
The Probation Department operates 5 different juvenile facilities, 2 juvenile halls or detention centers, and 3 different camps. And in those 5 facilities, we have available 979 total beds. This morning, we had 688 youth in those 5 facilities. And what we've seen over the last few years is, just like the nation has seen a decline in incarceration rates, here in San Diego County, we've also seen a decline, both in juvenile crime and kids who are in custody.
Compared to other cities in California, say San Francisco, LA, about the same, or are we doing a little better?
I couldn't really tell you. I don't have those numbers off the top of our heads, but I can say that our numbers were pleased with the trend, so that in terms of the number of kids that we have in custody, because an important figure is that of those 688 that we have in custody, that's less than 20% of the total youth on probation. In this county, we supervise about 3,600 youth that are on probation. So not every child that comes into the juvenile justice system is incarcerated.
And Michelle, what's behind the success? Less kids sort of behind bars, if you will. What sort of programs are out there to make sure that, like the chief said, that they're not in jail?
There are many diversion programs. We're very lucky in San Diego that we have groups that work so closely together. We have community-based organizations, we have probation, and we even have programs through the district attorney's office. And any time that you're getting in and you're getting into a situation where a minor is having a problem, where they're getting involved with the law, and you're doing something to prevent that happening again, you're stopping that minor from ending up being incarcerated later.
Let's talk about why they're here. The Kids Count report found nationwide about 3 out of 4 of the youth offenders are incarcerated for nonviolent crimes. Is that sort of the same thing here in San Diego?
It's consistent with what we see in San Diego. Most kids that do end up being incarcerated for a period of time, and in our facilities right now, most of them have come in for some sort of a property crime. Some of them for assault is probably the second highest percentage. A lot of the kids have drug issues that have led to some of the property type crimes, but it's not obviously the majority of them haven't necessarily been incarcerated for a violent crime.
What do you think, Chief, is the link between a youth incarceration, the kids that you have now, and their potential or their acting out as adult criminals?
Well, what we know from research is that most kids who touch the juvenile justice system only touch it once and never come back. There's a smaller percentage, about 20%, that actually will come back a couple of times. So what we know is that those kids who are at risk to do what you just described, go on to an adult career, make up only 8 to 10% of all of the youth that come into the system. And we know what those kids look like. We know what their profile looks like. They've come into the system before age 13. They've had academic failure. They have started some experimentation in drug use. They have a dysfunctional family, and they hang out with other juvenile delinquents. So those kids, absent an effective intervention program, they're not going to correct themselves. They're more likely to go on to become chronic delinquents and could end up in the justice system.
And Michelle, the county has several diversionary programs, including the teen court program. How closely do you work with youth authorities, and how successful do you think these programs are?
Depending on the program, we work quite closely with community-based organizations. For instance, with the teen court, we have deputy district attorneys that actually help with that program so that they can create a justice process just with the minors, and those juveniles from the community make the decisions about what happens to an offender. We also have our truancy program where a deputy district attorney works very closely with the schools to try and break the truancy link.
To break the cycle. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but there's a whole bunch more on our website. I do want to tell the folks at home that the juvenile justice system is continuing to work at lowering youth incarceration in San Diego. KPBS Speak City Heights reporter Megan Burks takes a look at 2 programs trying to divert youth out of the system.
Officer Estepa called and talked to you both about this opportunity to stay out of the juvenile justice system.
These City Heights teens are learning how to become mediators. It's a skill older teens and adults in the neighborhood are picking up in an effort to stamp out juvenile crime and bottleneck what Bridget Lambert calls the cradle-to-prison pipeline.
Unfortunately, it starts with one arrest, but it soon generates into a pipeline, and it eliminates a lot of opportunities for these kids, when really, if we can catch it at this early stage, it gives them this opportunity to get out of that pipeline.
Lambert is an outreach coordinator for the National Conflict Resolution Center. She's working with residents and law enforcement in the Cherokee Point neighborhood of City Heights to slow the pace of youth being introduced to the criminal justice system. The strategy is called restorative conferencing. Instead of getting their sentence from a judge, youth who commit nonviolent crimes have the opportunity to meet with their victim, the owner of the car they broke into, or the principal of a school they tagged. The victim, the offender, and one of the community's newly minted mediators would then decide on the punishment, something like community service or anger management classes. On the other side of City Heights, resident Decca Hussein and the nonprofit Mid-City Can are working on a similar pilot program.
It's knowing that I did something to someone, rather than, hey, a prosecutor just puts me in jail, and at the end of the day, I'm just waiting till get out of jail and then just do the same crime again.
Juvenile crime and detention rates have declined across the nation and in San Diego, but residents in City Heights are concerned because the neighborhood is home to large populations of Latino and African Americans. A 2008 Sandag study shows both groups are overrepresented in local juvenile detention facilities by about 10% each.
We wanted to make sure that our kids weren't just another statistic.
Both Hussein and Lambert say the approach isn't soft on crime. In fact, they say it's actually more effective.
Well, we're not saying that our kids don't need to be punished or they don't need to be held responsible for something that they've done, but we're saying that the method of just punishing a kid has been tried and it's not working. It's not working because recidivism rates are really high.
In 2011, 31% of youth on probation in San Diego County recidivated. Restorative conference programs throughout the nation report recidivism rates in the single digits. Megan Burks, KPBS News.